Hi, this is Denise Matthew. I hope you're doing well. I'm back again to talk about the first Mercury retrograde we have of 2023. And it's actually the first retrograde we have in 2023 as a whole. This is energy that is slowing us all down after we've had quite a quick sprint from the beginning of the year. Now, you may not have felt that you've had a quick sprint, but I think that when things start to slow down, you might start to see where you've gone, what you've done. And as we know, with all Mercury retrograde, it's always a great time to put the in everything that we do. And that is refocus, recalibrate, redo sometimes, and anything that we need to go over again. If you've done something, you started something and you want to pick it up again, it's a great time to do it. So with this energy, we have three gates in play. We have two that are mutative energy or individual energy, and we also have tribal energy. If you look at this from a whole, you see that these are all the gates that Uranus has been transiting, even though it is a retrograde that we have in 2023. You could say that it is a bigger thematic retrograde in that Mercury is retrograding. It is going to be in Taurus. It is retrograding in areas that Uranus has already gone through. So it could be putting a voice to all those themes and sort of reactivating those themes that you were working through when Uranus was working through those energies. So this is really where we're going back again and looking at those energies. And I would say that it's almost like Uranus is working hand in hand with Mercury to give us that final message of what we need to know so that we're all equipped for the future going forward. And that's it. That's what I feel from this Mercury retrograde. It was bringing innovation and new ways of being and changing things up. This is energy that is potentially being activated from as far back as 2020, because that's when Uranus was in the gate 27. So from 2020 to right into 2023, these are the three energies that Uranus has been through. So it can reactivate themes in some way in your life that were happening, that Uranus was bringing, that were bringing change in your direction, or showing us something maybe that we hadn't seen before that could potentially shift our trajectory. Because the gate two, where we're going to have a review, is our direction in life. It is connected to the magnetic monopole and how we find our way through the Maya or the earth, or our living our life on earth. If we allow it to do its job, the magnetic monopole will put you on the right path for you, the right trajectory, the right life purpose, and it will get you where you need to go. It'll have the people that you need to meet on that trajectory. So when you align with the gate two and your magnetic monopole, and it's specific for everybody, mine is not yours and yours is not mine. When you align with that inner knowing, that inner compass, it gets you where you need to go to find the best possible life experience for you, because that is your journey through life. The magnetic monopole is your compass to show you the journey through life. So Mercury is going to be activating that theme. It's going to spend the most time in the gate 24, and the gate 24 is called returning. It's kind of really interesting that it's going to be where Mercury is retrograding as well, because it is about review and kind of returning to the same thing, returning to the same thoughts over and again. And sometimes we can look at this as being a lot of noise, but not a lot of clarity that comes with it unless you wait for the timing, because the gate 24 is an awareness gate. So it does open up the potential for a lot of awareness to happen, where we're slowing down and things are not moving as fast potentially, where you get the awareness for all the downloads that the gate 61 occult truth was activating when Pluto was in there in 2022 and even 2021. So this is where you're starting to figure out that energy that maybe was elusive, the answers to the questions that you just didn't have the answers to, and you wanted the answers. This is the unknowable. These are, figuring out what is knowable, what isn't knowable, what is knowable that I don't need to know about. When you answer those three questions, it really does take that pressure away from trying to figure things out, because you will be given what you need to be given. The gate 61, which is a harmonic to the gate 24, is this idea of, it's called the occult truth. And what I like about this is it always says the truth always comes. It always floats to the surface. So even if people are trying to hide things, eventually the truth will come out. Does that mean that when we have Mercury going over the gate 24, that is potential? Absolutely, because every gate has several connections. The gate 24 has a connection with the gate 44, so that could even have some activations with that energy, which is about it brings in this idea of being able to intuit things because it is part of the spleen as well. And it's about sales energy. It's about making things better, making old things better than they used to be. It is about intuition for the past experiences. It's intuitive smell. So it is that energy could be activated. And then we also have the harmonic, which is the gate 61, which makes a full channel. And this is the truth coming out. So will we see a lot of truth coming out in the Mercury retrograde? Potentially, absolutely, both globally and personally. And those are energies just alone that might be activated with Mercury here. So the other perspective is there's patterns that can come with a gate 24 that are not necessarily always for our best. It's about looking for the answers to something that is elusive, but the harder you look, the less likely you are to get the answers. This is about mutative energy that just kind of pops in whenever it's the timing is correct. And this is what this is saying. So yes, you might get some really good answers to questions that have been eluding you for a while, but it only comes not from concentration, but from relaxing into the energy and allowing it to do as it will. It also talks about addictive behavior, addictive patterns, and it might be easier to go back into addictive patterns and behavior. So that's something to definitely keep in mind during this Mercury retrograde. So this is something to keep in mind. And even if you know somebody who might be struggling during this time, because there is this potential to get sort of lost in your head, especially anybody who has a hanging gate 61, it could really lock us into a thought pattern of, trying to figure things out. And it can even be a revival of certain conspiracy theories that maybe we haven't heard about as much as we used to. And maybe they're going to be revived as well from a global perspective. We also have the gate 27 that Mercury is going to be activating. And the gate 27 is really pushing us into this idea of where we put our resources, self-care, how we nurture ourselves, how we nourish other people. Are we giving too much to other people? Are they asking for too much? And ultimately, it's saying, where is the balance within this energy that you need to find so that you feel like you're supported as much as you're supporting other people? The other side of it is, from a global perspective, is this idea of resources, abundance, money. How are you sort of investing that money, and where's it going? And can you trust the people that are saying all the right things, but are they necessarily walking the talk type of thing? So in other words, having a lot of trust in who you want to manage your money, take care of your money, or those types of things. That's another energy that we might see reactivated through this. So if you feel like, somebody was saying all the right things, and when you gave them the resources that you had, they didn't do what they were meant to do, or it wasn't as advertised, we could say. So being very scrupulous and prudent about where you put your resources, and that could even be your own personal resources of where you want to put your energy, and who is taking your energy and saying that they're going to use it in a constructive way. And in fact, it's just your energy is just being frittered away, and it's not giving you the results that you truly deserve. Wrapped around this whole Mercury retrograde, on April 23rd, we have Mars moving into the gate 53, and it's going to combine with Jupiter in the gate 42. And this is suddenly all about new cycles. Generally, in a Mercury retrograde, you don't want to start anything new. You don't want to go and do something that you've never done before, but this is potentially a time when you can break the rules. If it's correct for you, you'll know. And ultimately, that is the key. Your inner knowing will guide you to what is correct for you and what isn't. So it could be, maybe you've tried to start something before and it didn't work out, or you have something going and it's not going really great, but you want to sort of up level it. Those are all cycles that you could begin. Whatever you're doing, if you feel like, I want to start something new, I want to have a new cycle, the key is really to be fully engaged in the long term, as knowing that this is going to be something that you're going to stick with. And it could be potentially even for 12 years, where we have Jupiter in the mix. At the low end of it, I would say 2 years, because Mars is a sort of about 2 year cycle. And the high end, it could be up to 12 years. So we're looking from 2 to 12 years. What are you going to potentially commit to for 2 to 12 years that you're okay with being in it for that long? And if you're not, then it might be time to sort of hold back and wait for timing that feels better for you. So that's the energy that we have wrapped around all the rest of the Mercury retrograde. And once again, during the Mercury retrograde on May 2nd, we have Jupiter moving. Now we lose the 5342 channel, which is the full channel of cycles or channel of maturation. And now we're moving into the gate 3, and that's bringing us the full 360 channel between Pluto and also Jupiter. This is also going to activate this idea of a new cycle of mutation. And again, mutation, it just keeps getting more and more. Things are continuing to unspool and unfold so that we can see how it's all playing out. And, technology and AI and all those types of things are all sort of growing. And I think that they're just the tip of the iceberg. I think there's so much more that's going to be revealed in the future. So what Jupiter in the gate 3 is bringing, it's bringing in, the gate 3 is this difficult beginning. Well, we know that a difficult beginning is always essential when it's something brand new that's never been tried or is not tried or true. And yes, it is difficult to potentially get it all moving forward, but in the long run, eventually, when the pulse comes on, or when when the timing is correct for that new thing, then that's when it explodes into the collective. And that's kind of what Jupiter's bringing in this energy. Again, it's starting a 12-year cycle. So in the future, what is something that is brand new that's starting in this 12-year cycle that Jupiter is bringing? So if you're really careful, you can actually look around and see, oh, what are these things that are kind of an anomaly or something new and mutative that hasn't been seen before? Maybe something even in your own life. Maybe that's something that you can watch and see if it actually does unfold and become like very mutative. Of course, there's also going to be mutative energy. Jupiter's big and expansive, and that means that there's going to be a lot of beginnings, but that doesn't mean that everyone is going to sort of have hit pay dirt. And this is a time where if you did begin a new cycle, and with the Mars in the gate 53 and Jupiter in the gate 42, this is where it might start to slow down. So that's also something to keep in mind if you are starting something new, because as soon as we have Jupiter going into the gate 3, we have this, okay, the key word is difficult in the beginning. So it's slowing things down, and it's saying, okay, do you want this? If you want it, what work are you willing to put into it? And that's what it's sort of talking about. So it might be a time where things are, they sped up a lot with Mars in the gate 53, and then it's slowing down again. This is slowing down for the long marathon type of thing. So you go at a steady pace, and you go for a long time, and eventually you get to the finish line. And I'm not saying it's going to be 12 years, but it is something that is incrementally going to shift and change as you move forward. So that's something to keep in mind, especially if you want to start something new. If your inner knowing says, yes, this is the time for me to start something new, then understanding that when Jupiter moves into the gate 3, it might change things up, or it might even be bringing these really mutative energies that are expanding like very quickly out of nowhere and transforming the world around us that we hadn't expected. So this is all happening during Mercury retrograde. And with Mercury retrograde, I think the communication, of course, is going to be different. So we may not hear about it during Mercury retrograde, but after, when things start to get up and running again, you might start to hear about all these new things that are suddenly exploding into being. And one more theme to keep in mind during the Mercury retrograde is because we do have two mutative energies that Mercury is going to transit, or two energies that are individual energies, the gate 2 and the gate 24, then melancholy might be part of the transit as well. So it's important to keep that in mind. And if you feel like you have the blues or something like that, just allowing the energy to flow as it will, being creative, getting out in nature, going for a walk, anything that you like to do is good for moving through melancholy. There's nothing wrong with melancholy, because it is just the duality to joy. We always have to have duality in the world. It is just the only time we have issues with the melancholy is when we sort of start to look at it as a problem, that what's wrong with us? Why do I feel this way? Sometimes that heaviness is just part of being alive. And keep in mind, with the 360 channel activated, some level of limitation that can happen in our life and in the world. And we always know that the limitation that comes with the gate 60 is not related to keeping us low and not letting us reach our limits. I know that some people talk about the gate 60 as, you have to break through the limits and all that type of thing. But I mean, that is actually counterintuitive to what this energy actually means. This energy says that there are times in our lives that we need to pause, and that's okay. There's times in our lives where things are not going the way that we want them to go. And when we stop and kind of reconfigure and just kind of stay in that energy for a little while, usually a new door will open, or usually some insight will come into our lives where we can actually see, yes, what, maybe I wasn't on the right path. Maybe that limit was a good thing for me. And this other perspective of the limitation is this idea of what do you have within you right now that you can use, the tools that you already have that you can use to your advantage. It encourages us to be creative. It encourages us to work within the limits that we have, to work with what we have. There's a benefit to being creative. It's finding new ways to use old tools in a way that you can feel empowered by what you're doing. So it is not about limiting anybody. It is not about keeping you small. The gate 60 is truly about making you stronger and more empowered, because you can find that light. And when you find the light in the limitation, or you find that perspective of growth, that you are okay with how the world is or how your life is, even if it does feel limited, usually at that moment that the expansion comes and things grow and things start to move, and that obstacle or that limitation that you felt was part of it, was part of your life, just kind of goes away. It is all about transcending the limitations, which means that when the timing is right, you have an open door. You can beat on the door and, insist that it be opened, or you can just wait for it to open and just walk through. It's a lot less stressful when you wait. And I know that we don't like to wait, but when we do with Pluto, we are rewarded, because it is about transforming. It is about, again, this whole butterfly in a cocoon. If you try and break out of a cocoon before you're put back together, because you are just, a butterfly becomes like just liquid inside. If they tried to break out of they probably couldn't anyways physically. If you're trying to break out of the cocoon before you're the full butterfly, then you're limiting yourself by doing that. But when you wait until everything is developed, everything is correct, and it is the timing is correct, and you know it because you feel inside, your inner knowing tells you, then you have so much more potential to expand, to fly, and to be that beautiful being that you always could be. So it is about waiting for the timing to be correct. And when it is, that's when magical things can really happen, especially with the 360 channel that we have activated with Jupiter. So when the timing is right, you'll know. And that is when it's time to transcend your limitations and move into the next stage of your life. So I hope you have a wonderful Mercury retrograde. You find the awareness that is perfect for you. And until next time, take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.